from materialism to spiritualism is a big U-turn. It is a 180-degree change in direction. You cannot expect anyone to do that just like that. Why would someone do so? And God knows this. So He has His own ways to make us do what He would like us to, not what we feel like. If He has decided to awaken a soul, He knows how to bring that about. His compassion is like that of a wise and loving parent who knows more than anyone else what his kid needs. To wake us up out of our slumber, He converts a dream into a nightmare. The spiritual journey starts from suffering. It could be a family dispute, a family breakup, a filthy neighborhood, the passing away of someone very dear to you, a life-threatening disease, a great financial loss, a betrayal, or anything that shatters your trust in the certainty of life. It is something that makes the world look ugly and chaotic to you. Since you do not have an understanding of the bigger picture, you get caught up in the confusion of an incomplete wisdom. Nothing seems to make any sense to you, and you start asking yourself questions regarding your very existence. You do not have any answers, only questions. The fun time is over. The reality of life suddenly seems to have outgrown your potential to deal with it. It's a dark night in the month of spiritual awakening. Though the darkest lies ahead, which I would call the tunnel. But this one is also quite dark. You would move into introversion and withdraw yourself from the general flow of life. The food won't taste as good as it used to. The aromas are not as rejuvenating. The pleasures of touch become dull, and music doesn't soothe your nerves. You find yourself incapable of dealing effectively with what destiny has put in your plate. Your soul shrinks and your generosity is gone. The world seems to you a ruthless and cruel place, and there is nothing you feel like doing for it. You start distancing yourself from the social ties and find it difficult to share with others what you have got inside. Day by day, month by month, year by year, your introversion deepens and goes on becoming all the more concrete to break through. Like a ritual practiced daily, the groove of your mind goes on deepening, and your thought patterns become fixed and rigid. The withdrawal is like a local anesthesia that God administers before operating on a soul. He first of all isolates that part of His creation which He has decided to operate on. God has not decided to awaken the whole town, just an individual in particular. Why him or her only? Well, it's another of His puzzles. So God first cuts off an individual from the rest of the world and dampens that soul's enthusiasm for worldly pursuits. To give to us the best He has got, God makes us lose interest in the mundane attractions of the world. To fill a container with something, you have to first empty it of what it already contains. This shutting of the doors to the outside is very essential for the journey within to begin. God knows exactly where our bliss is, and He sees that we are all looking for it elsewhere. That implies we are destined to never ever find it without a revision of our searching strategies. The withdrawal is like fasting. The toxic waste of incarnations has to be gotten rid of for the soul to respond to the divine diets. If you are too entangled in the world, you cannot experience bliss. You have to be disentangled first. If we look at it from a karmic angle, the withdrawal is the first indication of the soul to have started paying everyone off and clearing itself of all the debts. According to our ancient religious books, it is our deeds, our karmic give and take, that spins the wheel of incarnations. For your soul to move out of that automatic spinning, it has to wash its hands of its karmic debt. Because of the gap between an act and its consequences, the mass is unable to see the relationship between the two and understand the divine perfection. The law of karma is in fact God's most powerful tool for ensuring the efficiency of the running of its machinery. Like the gravity, the moment you step on earth, it gets applied on you. Whether you are drowned in the ocean of life or you swim across, the principle of buoyancy stays the same. Those who swim don't have a buoyancy principle of their own. They have simply mastered the art of using that principle to their own advantage. The spiritual journey is also about walking through the laws and understanding them, not avoiding them, dodging them, or outsmarting them. Karmic freedom of a soul comes from understanding the laws of karma, cultivating a heart of compassion for all your deeds to come from, and accepting total responsibility for the implications of your acts in the past. The withdrawal is quite painful for the soul. It is like uprooting a tree to plant it somewhere else. Here, God is uprooting a soul for the sake of its growth. You can live in this world for 1,000 years and still not know the mystery behind it all, if your soul is not made to evolve. By spending 18 years in nursery or prep 1, you don't get a bachelor's degree. You don't become a graduate. And what is awakening? It's just a graduation in life. You have to evolve every year, evolve continuously, and keep on evolving. You may occasionally fail and have to spend 2 years in the same class, but you don't stop and you don't quit. Look at those kids. They all want to stay at home and just play around. Kids don't love getting up early in the morning, getting inside those uniforms, and going to school. But when they become graduates, they finally know how essential their schooling was. They look back at all those years and know what that education was designed to do and what they would have become without it. An awakened soul can also look back at all the agonies it has gone through and realize their purpose. God's compassion is not that easy to grasp. You have to include a lot and expand a lot. The withdrawal of a soul is the first few years of its schooling. As far as God is concerned, those are just the basics, the ABC of life. But for a child, even ABC is tough to handle. So is for us. The withdrawal serves one more purpose. The soul breaks away from the collective mass identity of the society and starts looking for its own significance. When you don't know your own purpose, the chaos you are surrounded by becomes all the more chaotic. Defining your own self can be the greatest breakthrough in defining the whole existence. Once you know what is H2O, you know what an ocean is. But this defining of the self is not as easy as it appears to be. If it were, every 1 out of 10 would have got enlightened. According to our holy books, it is 1 out of a crore that attains. We are so buried underneath our attachments to the world that God almost has to dig us out of them and get us exposed to the scent of liberation. Psychologically, the withdrawal of a soul is like going into a cave. You feel like cutting yourself off from all the social ties and live alone with what you have got inside. Most probably, it is because you think you need to deal with it before joining the general stream of life. Or because you have come to conclude that a normal life won't be possible for you anymore, and there is no point in desperately trying to fit into it. You start considering yourself as an exceptional case, and the truth is that you are one. There may be people who have gone through the same experience as you have, who forget about it and join the beaten track of life. We are not equally sensitive to events. Our perceptions are unique. Everyone who sees a sick man, a dying one, and a funeral pyre does not become a Gautam Buddha. Most of them just watch all this, have their dinner as usual, and go to sleep. When they wake up the next morning, it is just a faint memory already. All souls are not able to listen to the wake-up call. The person who has withdrawn, in a way, shuts all psychological doors and refuses to open them for anyone. It is very difficult to break through the defenses of such a person. It appears as if they have fortified their inner self. They become ultra-sensitive, and you have to be very careful while dealing with them. Any rough handling from your side can do permanent damage to your relationship with them. A human mind is very subtle. In fact, there is nothing more sophisticated than it. To deal with spiritual pains, you have to be a physician of the highest order. An ordinary degree is not enough. The best way to respond to someone who has withdrawn is to make them feel that you understand their pain, even if you don't. They won't come out of their cave, but they will appreciate your concern. With the withdrawal, the soul gets itself enrolled into the course of detachment. Spiritualism is not just meditating and getting an access to eternal bliss. Spiritualism is about dying while you are alive. Whatever death can take away from you has to be given up consciously. In Buddhism, they call it the Great Death. It is great because you are there to watch every second of it. And it never happens twice. You never have to die again. But detachment is not a comfortable experience. It is like separating the soul from the body right in front of you. You feel as if being torn apart or split into two. The pleasures of the senses, the worldly fascinations, the lusts and greeds, the threads of relationships, all fall off from your soul like dead leaves in an autumn. You are left with nothing to cling on to. And it all starts with the withdrawal, though the whole process may take decades to complete.